TikTok just shut down thousands of small businesses overnight, stealing thousands of dollars in the process. And guess what? I'm on their side. Hello Internet, welcome to Style Theory, your one-stop tea shop. Spilling the tea on all your favorite brands, that is. Speaking of big brands doing big bads, you might have missed the huge news that's shaking up another platform right now, YouTube Shorts' older, more successful brother, TikTok. Here's the TLDR version of what's going down. Back in November, right before the Black Friday rush, thousands of small business owners using TikTok Shop to sell their products woke up to find that their accounts had either been shut down or suspended overnight.
I woke up this morning to my TikTok Shop being deactivated.
Last night, my shop was one of the thousands that TikTok shut down.
TikTok said I was a copycat and they shut down my shop. They gave me like every violation in the book.
Hey guys, sadly my shop has been closed.
According to the affected accounts, this move from TikTok was completely unprompted and without warning. These sellers were hit with enough violations of TikTok's terms of service that it completely froze their accounts and their funds. We're talking about tens of thousands of dollars stuck behind TikTok's impenetrable force field. Well, it's not certain exactly how many accounts were affected. Based on the amount of responses, we're looking at least at a few thousand shops being shut down. And this move didn't just affect the sellers either. Content creators who made posts promoting items from these shops, complete with affiliate links, also saw their accounts getting flagged and their videos taken down. Now that right there, that's a shady move, right? I feel for anyone who's ever had a big company swoop in and take all their money. Trust me, we have been there. And of course, plenty of headlines were eager to swoop in to cover this latest drama as well. But here's the thing. What if I told you that by banning these accounts and stealing their profits, TikTok may have just saved these small business owners millions of dollars? They've also made even more money for everyone else on the platform. Seems unbelievable, right? Well, it's true. In fact, it's a case that we've seen play out before because it's yet another instance of history repeating itself, just in a way that you wouldn't expect. So buyer beware, you're in for a scare, because today's theory is going to take us on a whirlwind tour through TikTok, law degrees, and PewDiePie. But to understand all of that, we first need to start with the most basic of questions. What the heck is a TikTok Shop? Well, TikTok Shop officially launched in the US and other countries in September of 2023. Basically, it lets users browse and purchase items directly from sellers without ever having to leave the app. Now this, in and of itself, is not a new idea. Instagram's been doing this sort of thing for a while now with its shopping tab, and YouTube has the merch shelf, which, by the way, you can totally find below this video. I'm seeing some really nice cozy sweaters down there. Anyway, what do all these platforms have in common? They want to do the impossible. They want to take down the king of online shopping, Amazon. To give you an idea of how big Amazon actually is, consider this. In 2022, 268 million Americans bought something online. Of those purchases, out of the 26 million retailers that exist online, Amazon made up almost 40% of all the business online in America. That is insane. And for years, all the other big platforms have been trying to get a chunk of that pie. Because at the end of the day, the world runs on two things: buying products and advertising those products during content pieces like this. If you manage to become the go-to place for both of those things, congratulations, you've basically won all the money. It's kind of like the lamest infinity gauntlet ever. But if you're curious, that's why Amazon's been out testing all sorts of different entertainment strategies across their platforms. If they own your eyeballs, well, then they can advertise to you and encourage you to buy their stuff on their platform. Meanwhile, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok have the content. They have all these eyeballs, so now they're just trying to find ways of making it easier to shop while you're on these platforms. But unlike all the rest, TikTok had one huge thing going for them: their algorithm. Even if you've never used TikTok, the idea of the almighty algorithm shouldn't be all that unfamiliar to you. In fact, it's the reason you're watching this video right now. All the information stored in YouTube's databases told it to put this video in front of your eyeballs because maybe you like me, or maybe you like my theories, or maybe you like TikTok drama. Whatever the reason, while you're here, you should probably subscribe, since while YouTube's algorithm is good at delivering you content that you like, TikTok's is just a wee bit better. Or it's better at what it's designed to do, which is to get you addicted. Basically, one of the algorithm's secret sauces is hyperfixation. Ask anyone what's trending on the app, and you'll likely get a different answer from everyone. And that's because TikTok's built its platform on curating your user experience to be unique to you and your interests. Click on one cute dog video, suddenly your entire For You page is nothing but animals doing funny things for days, weeks, months. And while this level of content funneling can be horrible from a creator standpoint, makes getting discovered and breaking out into new audiences super tough, it also means that the majority of the content that you're seeing is likely something that you're going to want to engage with. Then, once you sprinkle a little bit of product placement onto that, oh boy, does that combination pack a punch. Since launching in September, TikTok's reportedly earning between $4 and $7 million a day via the shop. For such a new platform, you gotta admit, that is impressive. Now, when you compare it to Amazon, which makes an estimated $2.9 billion, that's billion with a B, billion dollars a day, yeah, TikTok is still small potatoes, but TikTok's working with a secret weapon, the users. Cause while Amazon struggled to combine the social aspect with its shopping, TikTok is way ahead of the game. People want to be there. Going to Amazon, yeah, it's a necessity. Going to TikTok, though, it's a choice. And so when you see a cool trending product or a really fun ad, you're much more ready to buy at the tap of the screen. You're not just there to buy the groceries, you're there to have fun. And having some retail therapy, some impulse purchases, in the moment, yeah, it feels great. Thus, TikTok Shop exploded onto the scene. There was just one teeny tiny problem with that. TikTok, with its 1.6 billion users, it wasn't ready. But before we get to that, let's just focus a minute on that impulse spending thing. Whether it's on TikTok Shop or just some extra presence here and there at the stores, I think we're all a little bit guilty of doing some extra retail therapy during the holidays. Enter our sponsor for today's episode, Rocket Money. Rocket Money is the personal finance app that helps you manage your money, lower your bills, and organize your spending in a way that actually works. One way they do this is by letting you categorize your spending based on your needs, making it super easy to separate your bills and other necessities like groceries from that weird pair of Heelys that you just picked up on a whim. By doing this, you get a clearer sense of your spending habits, ensuring that your savings goes up and your debt goes down. In fact, Rocket Money has helped its customers save an average of $720 a year. And one of the best places they've been able to do that, subscription services. I don't know about you, but I'm subscribed to a lot of services these days. Because of all the channels, we're constantly paying subscriptions for every magazine, every research journal, game service, and streaming platform you can imagine. And truth be told, we don't always remember to cancel them when we're done using them. But with the Rocket Money app, you can easily find all those unused subscriptions and cancel them in just a few easy clicks. Seriously, you can do it all via the app. You no longer have to go through all the awkward tedium of breaking up with a subscription service over the phone. Rocket Money does it for you. It's not you, it's me, brand. But seriously, it's you. I don't care about your platform anymore. In short, if you're looking to make smarter, more informed decisions about your spending, Rocket Money is the first smart decision in that chain. They'll ensure that you have the data that you need right at your fingertips. So join me on this journey of financial fact-finding by going to rocketmoney.com/styletheorists. Or, skip all the typing and just click the link in the description to get started for free. And if you like what you see, you can also unlock even more features using their premium service. That's rocketmoney.com/styletheorists to get started for free. Now, let's get back to that TikTok drama, shall we? Because for real, TikTok was not prepared for the onslaught of sales success. You see, to be a successful e-commerce platform, you ultimately need three things. 1, a responsible governing platform, where 2, responsible shoppers can buy from 3 trustworthy sellers. So let's just start at the top of the list, shall we? A responsible governing platform. Yeah, on that front, TikTok ain't it, chief. It's got a bad reputation. And I'm not just talking about a national security allegation. I mean that TikTok, more than any current platform, is a wasteland of stolen content and copyright violation. From meme accounts farming content for their compilations, creators finding out that their content's been repurposed into ads by some shady brands, to the literal hundreds of duplicate game theory accounts reposting our content pretending to be us, raking in thousands and sometimes even millions of views. Yeah, if you're seeing my face over there, more likely than not, it's a copycat account posting stolen content. We're known as Game Theorist Official, just so you're aware, but all the rest of them, sadly, there's not a whole lot we could do about it. You'd think that a platform of this magnitude would have some sort of rule against it, but oh wait, they do. In their terms and conditions, it states that users aren't able to use, quote, any material which does or may infringe any copyright, trademark, or other intellectual property or privacy rights of another person. For example, let's say you upload someone's YouTube episodes without their permission. If you break the rule, TikTok has the right to disable and terminate the account, except they don't. In fact, they play so fast and loose with their own rules that someone like me, a clear copyright holder, can't even get a response from the platform to try and protect my intellectual property. So they're not the most responsible platform, but hey, at least the people shopping on there should be able to cut through the noise and tell a real product from a fake one, right? Wrong. I mentioned earlier how TikTok's trying to position itself as the next Amazon, and one of the many ways they're doing this is by using every trick in the book to drive down prices and get you to buy more. Yeah, the coupons that you find throughout TikTok, they're a method to keep you incentivized to shop on the app. What these coupons are doing is driving down prices so low that no other platform can compete. But in the process, TikTok is actually operating at a loss for all those sales. This is called a loss leader strategy. We are willing to take less profits in the short term in order to attract new customers for the long haul. In practice, it's actually a pretty smart move here. TikTok Shop was designed to take the friction out of spending your money. By keeping you on the platform, you only have a click of a button or two to make a purchase. And when that purchase is only costing you a couple bucks, you start to think, yeah, what's the harm? Then a few minutes later, you see a video of someone trying out a new lip gloss, and so you do it again, and again, and again. Now that TikTok's algorithm knows what's gonna get you to complete the purchase, they're gonna keep showing you more and more of that type of content to get you to spend more and more of your money. Now, that alone would be one thing if what you were getting was worth the price, but most of the time you can't tell a good product from a cheap one. Everyone on this platform is currently selling the same items, using the same photos, and making it impossible to actually be a smart, informed shopper. You have to literally do hours of research just to know if the cute outfit you want to buy is the real deal or just a knockoff of knockoff. But adding on to all of this, it's being funneled to the people who are the most vulnerable, kids. According to TikTok's own data, 60% of their users are Gen Z, ages 11 to 26, who despite being the first generation to grow up completely online, are falling victim to online scams more frequently than their parents, thereby making them a prime target for our final player in this little game here. Theorists, it's time to talk about the elephant in the room, the trustworthy sellers. So we've got ourselves a bunch of young shoppers searching on an irresponsible platform that's desperate to do anything to make it grow. Making matters worse though, TikTok Shop is an open marketplace, which means literally anyone and everyone can sell their goods there. And once you do that, you suddenly leave the door open for bad actor sellers, which have been everywhere on TikTok Shop since launch. Sure, there are plenty of good sellers out there using TikTok Shop in a completely legal way to help sell their products, but there's also hundreds of less legitimate businesses that are figuring out the best ways possible to separate you from your hard-earned dollar. Which brings us then to the droppers, the dupers, and the copiers. When you see 12 different people advertising the same crisscross chair across 12 different shops, you're likely dealing with a thing called drop shipping. Drop shipping is just a business term for not keeping products in stock at your own facility and instead using a third-party fulfillment center. Let's say that I'm selling candy bars online, but you know what? I'm not making the candy bars. I want to get a supplier to make those candy bars and also ship them for me. Once I make a sale, I send that information off to my supplier to do both of those things. This honestly has itself a lot of cost and time benefits for me. It means suddenly I don't need to rent space to house any products. I don't have to deal with packaging or labeling. I don't have to deal with lines at the post office. It is great across the board for my business because honestly, I don't really have that much of a business. I'm just a glorified middleman. I'm selling other people's goods and billing them as my own. But as you might expect, this sort of system opens itself up to a lot of exploitation. For instance, a seller might buy items wholesale. They may head to places like AliExpress where they can find items super cheap and then just resell them on a different website for a higher price in order to generate some profit. What's the problem with that? Well, it means that the quality of the items that you're buying on this website can vary wildly. As a result, customers may end up spending top dollars on poorly made items. Or worse, may end up spending money on items that never arrive because the business just disappears overnight. Or spending money on items that are misleadingly advertised. All of those are very frequent in this sort of system. But then you mix in the dupers. If you're new to the world of dupes, it's pretty simple. Say you saw Taylor Swift walking around in an outfit and you wanted it for yourself. But like most people, you don't have the spare $2,000 to drop on those specific items. Instead, you'll want to find similar looking items that give you the same overall look, but fit better in your price range. Nothing wrong with that. Well, nothing wrong until you start getting a little too close to the original. If I show you this bag, does that bee design make you think of anything specific? It's a pretty close match to Gucci. What about this cup? Does it instantly make you think of the brand Stanley? That's how it was being advertised across TikTok, and Stanley themselves weren't too happy about people ripping off their brand. According to a number of TikTok shop creators affected by the situation, one of the key items linked to shops being shut down were these stainless steel tumblers being sold as Stanley cup dupes.
Last Friday, myself and a handful of other TikTok shop creators were banned because of the 40-ounce stainless steel tumbler, the one that everyone calls the Stanley dupes, because we use the words Stanley and dupe, which I now know we cannot do.
I'm gonna stop you right there because Stanley is a trademarked name, meaning that it's owned by a brand. You're already setting yourself up for trouble by using it as a part of your business. A lot of the words that we use every day, from Band-Aid to Kleenex, are trademarked brand names. By using them anywhere in your marketing, you are breaking the law and leaving your business vulnerable to potential legal consequences, like, you know, getting your TikTok shop shut down. But even if you were smart enough to not be using a trademarked name in your marketing, there's another issue that needs to be addressed here. You see, while clothing is very difficult to patent, which we've talked about in a previous episode, items have themselves a lot more rules, even down to the shape. This is called trade dress. This is where a company owns the commercial look and feel of their product. When it comes to these Stanley cups, that iconic shape, from the location of the square handle, the thickness of the rim, the very specific shape of the tumbler itself, it's all part of what makes an item make you think of that brand. That means that even if your item isn't a blatant ripoff that would infringe on a design patent, you can still get in trouble if your product is so close to the original level that people would reasonably think that it was made by the actual brand. Speaking of knockoffs though, some of these even went a step further, just selling full-on fakes.
Watch this before you order a Stanley Cut from the TikTok shop. If you follow me, you know I just got this from the TikTok shop last week, and I think it's fake.
Which brings us then to group number 3, the copiers, aka the sellers who are just blatantly using copyrighted work as a part of their products. This one seems to be the simplest to understand, or I thought it was until I realized just how big of a problem it was. I'm talking about even after the great TikTok shop shut down. Just one scroll through the TikTok shop looking for Disney, DC, Taylor Swift yields hundreds of results. Theorists, I'm gonna put this in as plain of terms as I can. All of this, the Grinch mug, the Sanrio headbands, and yeah, your NFL Taylor's version sweaters, all of them are copyright infringing items, illegal for you to sell without owning a license from the copyright holders. By selling these items, you are opening yourself up to actual legal consequences. Copyright infringement cases can result in fines up to $250,000, 10 years in jail, or both. But who cares, right? Well, it turns out the answer is, surprisingly enough, TikTok. See, TikTok is going through some growing pains, ones that could ruin the platform if it doesn't act fast. Because while letting people do whatever the heck they want with no consequence can make you feel like the cool platform, the fun platform, it can also get your platform and you sued. And while TikTok may be willing to sacrifice a few dollars to get you shopping, they're not going to be risking a very expensive losing battle against the likes of Disney. So instead, they had to do something new. They had to think radically. They had to enforce their own terms of service for the first time ever, which meant shutting down hundreds of TikTok shops. Looking back, it's something that everyone should have seen coming because we've all seen this before. We've seen it happen right here on YouTube. Let's just take a little stroll down memory lane to 2017, shall we? Vine had just shut down, TikTok was the sound your clock made, and YouTube was on the edge of an adpocalypse. PewDiePie, biggest channel on the platform, suddenly releases some questionable videos, which got advertisers panicking about their ads running on potentially unsafe content. Ads suddenly started getting pulled left and right. So, to save their platform, YouTube had to make some sweeping changes, and they had to make those changes fast. They had to show that their platform was going to be a safe place for advertisers. And to do that quickly before the bottom dropped out, they had to make some big swings, ones that are still affecting the platform today. And thus, the yellow demonetization button hit it big. This thing was everywhere, and it was on everything. Did you want to cover the news? Demonetized. Want to talk about the scientific properties of champagne? Bye-bye ads. You have no idea how many video ideas never got made because we were worried YouTube would consider them unsafe for advertisers. For months, it seemed like every video on every topic was getting yellow buttoned as the system overcorrected itself. Over time, it learned. It got more accurate. It evened itself out. But not before a sweeping change to the platform took a bite out of everyone's monetization for the better part of a couple months. Fast forward a bit and suddenly ElsaGate became the end of kids content as we knew it. Because of a few bad actors making Elsa and Spider-Man do questionable things, YouTube had to make new policies for children's content. Then there was COPPA, where concerns around the data tracking of children nearly brought down not just YouTube, but the internet as a whole. Once again, YouTube had to find a way to navigate this impossible situation, finding solutions that were best for the platform to survive, but not necessarily individual creators. Now you have to check a box saying not made for kids every time you upload a video. Why? Because it makes you responsible for what you're uploading. If you lie and get caught, well, that's coming back to you, not to YouTube. In all honesty, all these policy changes make our job a lot more difficult. It can be stifling to creativity, but you can't really blame YouTube for it. They're just doing their job and trying to make the platform as safe and profitable as they can, because not only does their success rely on that, but so do all the creator-built businesses that are using their platform to exist. Sure, it sucks as a platform overcorrects and hurts you in the short term, but it's all a play for the long-term stability of this place that's hopefully providing a lot of people their livelihoods for a long time. And that is exactly what the TikTok shutdown was. Don't get me wrong, there were better ways that TikTok should have handled this situation, ones that may have kept legitimate small businesses from getting caught in the crossfire.
So this is the stuff that they said is in copyright violation, and for the past 10 years, I've owned the copyright and the trademark for all of this stuff.
In an ideal world, these creators would have been able to appeal their violations, get their shops reopened quickly in order to access their funds that much more easily. But since TikTok refused to enforce its policies since the beginning, it's now forced to play catch-up. They can't just operate on their own terms anymore. They're now playing with the big kids, the Instagrams, the Facebooks, the YouTubes, and all the legal expectations that come with being a large, successful platform. And the truth is, this is just the beginning. I foresee a lot more of this happening to TikTok in the near future. With the rise of AI concerns, how rampant it's being used in filters right now, the need for better systems for dealing with content theft, and bigger still, the fact that there are still hundreds of thousands of sellers still up that are breaking the same rules even after this massive shutdown. It's not just TikTok that's gonna have to grow up and learn to own up to their mistakes. It's the people who are using the app as well. well. Don't get me wrong, it is gonna be a tough couple of years for a lot of the creators and small business owners on that platform as the system learns to adult correctly. Believe me, all of us here on Team Theorist, we've been doing this a long time, and we're still here, but being a creator means learning and adapting to the platform that you're using to run your business, and also demanding that they do better when they mess up. TikTok, yeah, they're gonna mess up a lot over the next couple years, but thanks to this initial TikTok shop shutdown, now everyone is paying closer attention to what moves they're making, and they're now ready to hold them accountable as a responsible platform. YouTube went through its adulting phase. It's time for TikTok to do the same. But hey, that's just a theory. A style theory. Keep shopping smart. And hey, if you want to learn more about the dark side of the fashion industry, check out the video on the left to learn about how you can stop Shein from stealing. Or for something completely different, click the box on the right to learn what it takes to make the world's ugliest sweater. Happy New Year, my friends.